Hello folks, welcome back to the studio. We're going to talk about motorcycle security today, something that's very near and dear to my heart, haven't been burnt in the past. In front of me here, we have some brand new options from the company HIPLOK. We have the MDX or the MD1000. These are new disc locks from them. Now as a brand, they've always impressed us and they offer some of our favorite motorcycle security options hands down. Whether it is things like their angle grinder resistant D-locks like the DX1000 or their ground anchors within the same series that equally are angle grinder resistant. They're always very impressive to behold. And the same is true of the disc locks we have here. So the MDX, just for reference, has a Sold Secure Gold rating. And the MD1000 actually has a Sold Secure Diamond rating. So obviously they're very tough. Coming in around 1 kilogram, they're also very portable and they offer great solutions for on-the-go security. But our recommendation as to which one you should buy may surprise you. I'll cover that at the end. So let's start with the details of the MDX then before we move on to the tougher MD1000. These are available in black. They have a price of around £90 and they're made using a hardened steel locking body and bolt. They therefore have a Sold Secure Gold rating, which broadly speaking means it can withstand attacks for up to 5 minutes, which include lock picking, drilling, cutting, leverage attacks, but does not include angle grinders, which I'll come back to in a few moments. It has a weatherproof outer case, and that's important with any motorcycle lock. Obviously, they're used outside, so they live a hard life. You don't want them to rust. You still want them to be in good working order in years to come. It can be quite a difficult balance for companies that make motorcycle locks to keep them relatively lightweight, so they are more portable. These thankfully are. Obviously they have a weight to them, there's no getting around that. If you make something that is tough, it's going to have some kind of substance to it. These are around 1 kilogram though, so still pretty portable. They're also pretty small. They're 105 millimeters by 82 millimeters with a depth of 35 millimeters. Obviously its dimensions are going to be a key factor in how universal this lock is. You want it to work with a variety of different brake disc shapes. I've definitely had brake disc locks in the past that had a locking bolt that was slightly too chunky to actually fit with certain bikes. That's always frustrating to find. Thankfully, this one is very universal. The locking bolt isn't so chunky that it's going to pose much of an issue when it comes to pairing it with your particular brake disc. And it's also got a channel that's deep enough that you know you can get it deep enough on the brake disc to make sure it's secure. They come with 3 keys, so you have some spares just in case you lose one. If you lose all 3, I'd always recommend with HIPLOK to register them. You have a code on the key itself, register that with them and you can get a replacement in the future if you ever do need it. You actually also have this rubber section around here which is magnetized, always love a magnet on my toys. So that actually secures to the lock itself, or if you want to, you can actually put it on the key. It's got this little, I don't know what you would call that there, fob I suppose. So you can use the magnet to secure it there. So you've got a little loop on this side. This is here as a reminder tag. So you can put this on your throttle or somewhere on the bike that you know you're going to interact with, like the brake lever, something like that. You'll have seen it on other locks. But because this is brightly colored, it should catch your attention and remind you you've stuck a lock on. You could also use it as a bit of a dust cover to further weatherproof your lock. You do only get one of them though with the MDX, and that is one of the differences with the MD1000. You actually get 2 of these reminder tags. So if you do want to, you could leave one on the lock and also put one on the bars to remind you. On to the MD1000 then, which are available in either black or yellow for around £180, but these have a Sold Secure Diamond rating. Starting with what's similar then, these have the same locking bolt and cylinder, so that's made out of hardened steel like the MDX. They have the same dimensions and weight, but much like the rest of the 1000 series, these use a graphene composite material in the body, which is heavily angle grinder resistant and enables this lock to have a Sold Secure Diamond rating. Now the Diamond rating takes into account the same attack methods as the Gold rating, those being leverage attacks, drilling, cutting, that sort of thing, but with the added inclusion of resistance to angle grinder attacks for at least 90 seconds, making this thing a beast of a disc lock. The other small differences are the fact that you have 2 reminder tags. So as I mentioned, you can leave one on the lock itself and leave one on the bars if you want to, or mix and match colors. And it also comes with a carry case, I believe. Now with all that mentioned, let's get on to some real world conditions and some hypotheticals of how someone might try and steal your bike. It's never nice to think about, but it is important that you do, because you really do need to consider how secure your vehicle is. These are great options when you're out on the road, and a disc lock is a great option for something that is portable. Between these two though, obviously this one is angle grinder resistant, this one is just a really hard lock without that angle grinder resistance. Realistically, and I know this from experience, obviously the lock is really tough and you can make that as tough as you like, but the weakest element is always going to be the brake disc itself. And they actually do, on occasion, cut brake discs instead and merely slide off the lock, because it's a weaker point of entry, if you like, than the actual disc lock itself. Now, not all bike thieves are going to do that. Some might try and attack the lock itself, and obviously in those circumstances, maybe you will want something that's angle grinder resistant. But my recommendation for real world scenarios would be actually that the MDX is enough. I think this is probably the route I would go. I'd save a bit of money. I would go with this because it definitely is a tough option, very portable, great when you're out on the go. And for absolute peace of mind, I would pair it with something like the DX1000. Now, I know for everyone, this might not be what you want to go for. Maybe you don't want something this large. Maybe you don't want to spend the money to get a DX1000. But if you really want the peace of mind while you're out and about, I would highly recommend looking into combining a few different methods. And these are great because this is portable anyway, and this is just a little addition. It's very small, very easy to bring with you. And you couple the two together and you have a very secure, very strong setup while you're on the move. Obviously, for what it's worth, that is just my opinion, so do with it what you will, and you'll have your own feelings on what's going to work best for your setup, whether it is the angle grinder resistant disc lock here, or the MDX, or one of their D-locks, or one of their ground anchors. But what I can definitely commit to saying with 100% honesty is it is a brand worth looking at if you want some motorcycle security. If you want to maximize your peace of mind, they have great solutions for at home or on the go. Debate it out in the comments section if you feel like it. Check out the links in the description if you want any of these things for yourself, and I'll see you soon. Bye.